What's good, YouTube? It's Mirror Boy back in this video. Today we're going to talk about everything that transpired over the weekend at YCS Raleigh. And guys, what do you think about this new camera angle? You know, I pulled it back a little bit more so you can see more of me in the frame. Yay! Anyways, without further ado, let's dive in. YCS Raleigh, 1,843 players. That's pretty big. However, 1,800 is a really awkward number because that's just before the cutoff of 2,049 players that actually makes a round 11 tournament become a 12-round tournament, which means that a lot of X2s did not actually make it, and having a 9-2 record trickled down all the way to 30 plus X2s that actually did not make top 32. Like, you can see the status from Dom Couch, who actually lost round 7 and round 9, which are very late in the tournament. And one of the people that beat him actually topped even, and even still, his tiebreakers just weren't good enough for him to make top cut, which is absolutely bonkers. So yeah, it's a little bit of a fault in the system. I think Konami definitely has to rejig those numbers a little bit more, so a little better, but that's besides the point. On to the actual tournament. Top 32 comprised of 20 Snake Eyes. 20 Snake Eyes, holy crap. I mean, I expected a lot of Snake Eyes, obviously, don't get me wrong, but this is crazy. Obviously, the ban list just did not hit them at all, but I'm a little more shocked that there were more pure decks. People are still playing pure over something like Fire King, which I personally would have expected to be a little more popular. There were 3 Fire Kings in the actual Top Cup. So taking a look at the breakdown, there were 11 pure Snake Eyes in the top 32 alongside 5 Cash Tiers Snake Eye variants. And the Cash Snake Eye variant actually does play a very minimal Cash engine from what I've seen, like 1 Fenrir, 1 Unicorn, 1 Birth, and a copy of the Field Spell alongside Terraforming to bridge everything together. Just a little bit more offense, I guess, better into hand traps as well, having a better grind game. Only 3 Snake Eye Fire King. And then we also had 3 Runic Stun. Yeah, apparently Runic Stun is back on the menu. You saw Aaron Furman actually make top cut as well, and he seemed to be reading a lot of the cards in the format, so I'm not really sure if he tested a lot, but apparently the power of Runic Stun and Skill Drain Synchro Zone can just get you there. 2 copies of Branded, as well as 2 copies of Voiceless Voice. Wow, Voiceless Voice literally the tank, because everyone thought this deck was going to be amazing, but apparently it just did not classify to be one of the top 3 decks in the metagame after the ban list. And then with the 1-1 decks, we had 1 Kashtira, 1 Flounder Reese, 1 Scareclaw Snake Eye, kind of interesting, want to see that. 1 Purely, 1 Labyrinth, and 1 Runic Plunder. Shout out to Douglas Haddad for carrying the legacy of the Pirate. He's the OG Pirate. He's had a lot of tops with this deck, so again, just showing the power of having an awesome deck, original deck, and knowing how to play his rogue deck to the maximum potential. Now for the actual tournament, Cam Neal eventually took it home. This guy has had a lot of tops over the past decade or so of Yu-Gi-Oh! He's also a UDS champion, but finally getting his first win. But what was more surprising was a gentleman in second place. It was actually his first ever YCS, apparently, playing Labyrinth nonetheless, Trap Labyrinth, with heavy focus on traps that they could spin off of Trap Trick, so cards like Daruma Cannon, Full Force Virus, which was another interesting one, and of course, Dogmatica Punishment. Now, the finals were really interesting because Cam went first in Game 3 and had an absolute god hand, full combo including Crossout Designator, as well as Triple Tactics Talent to rip his opponent's hand. Unfortunately, he got a little too trigger happy and ripped the wrong card, choosing to go for the Ariana instead of the obvious Daruma Cannon, which almost actually allowed Jack to come back because he just set the Daruma Cannon, flipped it on the following turn, and then wiped the entire field, but also had the Nibiru in his hand from the previous turn prior that Cam had to play into. He also forgot to trigger the effective IP directly on the normal summon of the back Jack, allowing Jack to go into the Typhon and then spinning back his only follow-up in the form of Snake Eye Flamber Dragon. But unfortunately, there was a bit of a critical misplay on Jack's part where he actually resolved the effect of the back Jack, but forgot to place the Rivalry of the Warlords on the top of the deck. And then at the end of Cam's next turn, he almost basically drew a card and then tried to use the effect of the back Jack in the graveyard to shuffle back the top 3 cards of his deck to rearrange it so Rivalry was in fact on top, because for some reason it just wasn't placed on top to begin with. Unfortunately, the card was basically halfway to his hand, and that's just a no-no in Yu-Gi-Oh! So you have to basically accept that you're in your draw phase and that he was not drawing Rivalry. But nonetheless, all of these interactions made the finals so much better and more just exciting to watch on the edge of the seat. I mean, you know, it seemed pretty over on Cam's first turn, but you never know in Yu-Gi-Oh! Until it's actually over. DB Grinder actually got 3rd place. Yep, after grinding, you know, however many YCSs, he actually got very deep into this tournament, so shout out to him with Kashtira Snake Eyes nonetheless. Unfortunately, bricking mega hard in top 4, as you guys saw in the feature. Oh, it was so anticlimactic in Game 3. His hand was literally unplayable. It was 3 hand traps, plus Snake Eyes Flamberg Dragon and Catch Cure Birth. Yeah, not much you can really do with that, especially going first. But again, looks like all that DB grinding actually paid off for him, so huge shout out to him for his accomplishment on that. Apparently, Jesse Cotton went X2 early on and actually dropped out of the tournament. Completely understandable, because with this odd number, even if he won out, the chances of him actually topping were basically close to 0%, so no point really wasting your time doing that, right? What about tech choices? Well, we saw some really cool stuff. This is the first tournament in the metagame. Obviously, a lot of Snake Eye players were actually relying on the Psyframe Omega alongside the Dissipator hand loops to rip 2 cards. Some Snake Eye players were going for the Nemesis Flag plus Nemesis Protoss. Nemesis Flag being a fire level 2 bonfire target in Pyro that you can actually search for Protoss at the end of your combo, summon it out, call fire or call dark, shut off, Dark Witch, shut off Snake Eyes. It was pretty spicy as well. I think I saw a couple players playing a Nigmaster Pack Bit as well to rescale some of their options. Hand traps are still on the menu. People are just maxing out on hand traps. Board breakers are a thing. They're better with Omni Negates out of the format, but unfortunately, people are doing degenerate combos on turn 1 that are still basically instant win, ripping cards out of your hand with Omega, setting up a Protoss, stuff like this. You just really cannot rely on board breakers reliably to get you out of the sticky situation, so you do have to still bank on hand traps. And at the end of the day, hand traps are great against Snake Eyes. You can stop them sometimes off 1 card if they open just 1 starter plus not engine. So yeah, personally, I'm just on the side of hand traps. But other than that, everything seemed to be pretty standard with the deck. Losing Baron and Savage and Link Ribble didn't do anything to hurt the deck. In fact, it might have helped them a bit, because other decks cannot make use of those cards either. What about the drama? Yeah, you cannot have a YCS without some semblance of drama, right, guys? Well, turns out there's a little bit of drama from what I've seen floating out there on social media. Patrick Hoban had an interesting tweet that said overreaching judges hurt the integrity of the game, presumably tied to something that transpired in his top 16 match where he was knocked out of the tournament. But, we'll never know, because it's hard to say at this point. Only he really knows what happened. So yeah, there's some emotion in this event for sure. Some controversy to look beneath the weeds, I would say. But the spiciest thing about the whole weekend was probably none other than the resurgence of grudge matches in Yu-Gi-Oh! Yep, if you guys know, back in the day, we had a history of grudge matches in the good old days, before YCSs, just like SJCs. 2011, we had the likes of NIZAR SARHAN versus Blake McCrary, where Blake actually took out Gateway of the Sixth Samurai and played against NIZAR's Dino Rabbit and beat him in a grudge match.
And NIZAR just acted like a snotty pro or whatever.
I guess. I meant nothing by it. It was.
I don't play for me, nigga, but you don't come to my fucking city and you don't disrespect my friends, nigga. You don't do that shit. If you don't want to play him, I said no. If you don't want to play him, you don't have to act like you ain't gonna. I said no. Said why?
But it doesn't matter, because we're gonna start this game though right now. Because that's what I want. We're gonna start this game.
I put my city on my back. You don't need Gateway to beat your ass, nigga.
Oh shit, this is intense. You already know I love Texas. I topped last year. What NIZAR? Eating Skittles and jelly beans.
Or if you guys were around a couple of years after that, during the ARG days, arguably one of the most iconic grudge matches in Yu-Gi-Oh! History, and that was none other than the Bash of the Nash, Jeff Jones versus Kevin Silva. Yep, there was trash spoken, everything was documented, $500 grudge match, and it happened. It's still live on YouTube. Guys, you gotta check that one out as well.
Okay, yeah, we'll play $500. Let's go. All right, you gonna talk shit? You can talk shit to my face. All right? And I'll play that shit. So Tennessee, beating this motherfucker's ass for $500. You better sure you bring that shit. Yeah.
So it's gonna be Facebook official in a minute.
You gonna post that on Facebook?
I can.
Yeah, no. In order to settle disputes like real men, you pick up your cards and start playing a children's card game. Now we had a grudge match between Sean Pittman and Hani Jawari. This was live streamed on Facebook, and you guys can see exactly what the heck was going on. There was some beef happening.
There's no way you pass.
This is the first time I've seen this level of crowd around a table before. It's a true shadow game, and it really brings back that grunginess of the old school classic Yu-Gi-Oh days. But yeah, guys, there were a lot of emotions involved. There was a lot of money on the line. There were stakes, and they were very high. There were a lot of heat. So guys, I'll leave a link below in the description. You can check it out and tell me what you thought about that grudge match. But I thought it was really epic that we're bringing grudge matches back. If you guys have beef with someone, you got to settle it with a shadow game, with a duel. So yeah. But all in all, that's about it that happened at YCS Raleigh. Unfortunately, again, they should have really added another round, so then the top 32 would comprise of basically all of the X2s, and none of the X2s would be knocked out. But unfortunately, that's the way it goes sometimes with 11 rounds. Guys, what are your thoughts on YCS Raleigh? I'd love to hear. Let me know in the comments below. Smash the like button, subscribe. Other than that, we'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for tuning in.